In the hills outside Rome, around 170 CE, an emperor sat alone with his thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, ruler of the greatest empire the world had known, was not contemplating military strategy or political intrigue. He was wrestling with something far more personal, the weight of worry that pressed upon every human heart. The words he wrote that night would echo through to millennia. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics understood something we're only now rediscovering. Worry is not protection, it's imprisonment. Truth. 1. Your mind cannot predict the future. The ancient Stoics recognized a fundamental error in human thinking. We treat our anxious thoughts as prophecies, when they're merely noise. Epictetus taught his students that our judgments about future events cause more suffering than the events themselves. Consider this. How many disasters have you predicted that never came to pass? How many nights did you lose to fears that dissolved with the morning light? The Stoics called this anticipatory suffering. We experience pain twice, once in imagination, and potentially once in reality. But the imagined pain is always worse, distorted by our mind's tendency to catastrophize. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations that we should confine ourselves to the present not because the future doesn't matter but because we cannot know it. Your thoughts are not facts, they are impressions, subject to error, amplified by fear. Truth 2. Worry is reality. The Stoic philosophers identified worry not as an inherent human trait but as a learned pattern. Seneca observed that we become slaves to our own mental routines, repeating the same anxious loops until they feel inevitable. But what is learned can be unlearned. The Stoics practiced what they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, but this wasn't worry. It was preparation. They distinguished between productive contemplation and destructive rumination. One strengthens you, the other depletes you. When you catch yourself worrying, the Stoic response is simple. Ask yourself what action you can take right now. If there's something you can do, do it. If there's nothing, let it go. The habit of worry thrives on inaction. Break the pattern by focusing on the next right step. Truth 3. Thoughts are not reality. In the Stoic view, the world exists independently of our judgments about it. Epictetus taught that events are neutral. Our opinions about them create suffering or peace. This is perhaps the most liberating truth in Stoic philosophy. You are not obligated to believe every thought that passes through your mind. The Stoics practiced a technique called objective representation. When faced with a troubling thought, they would strip away the emotional language and see the situation clearly. Instead of "this is terrible," they would observe "this is happening." The difference is profound. One statement enslaves you to fear. The other simply acknowledges reality. Truth. Control is an illusion. The core of Stoic wisdom lies in the dichotomy of control. Some things are within our power, most are not. Epictetus was unequivocal. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. This isn't resignation, it's strategic focus. The Stoics observed that we exhaust ourselves trying to control outcomes, other people, the future. But the only things truly within our control are our own thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else is external. When you release the need to control what cannot be controlled, you free enormous energy. You stop fighting against reality and start working with it. This is where peace lives, in the acceptance of what is, combined with committed action toward what could be. The ancient Stoics weren't abstract theorists. They were practitioners living through wars, plagues, political upheaval, and personal tragedy. Marcus Aurelius ruled during one of Rome's darkest periods. Epictetus was born a slave. Seneca faced exile and eventually forced suicide. Yet these men found peace not by avoiding hardship, but by understanding that worry adds nothing to our capacity to handle what comes. Their wisdom wasn't about eliminating concern or becoming indifferent. It was about distinguishing between productive attention and destructive obsession, between preparation and paralysis, between response and reaction. In the second part, we'll explore how this ancient philosophy addresses the specific worries that dominate modern life, and how the Stoics' insights into human nature remain startlingly relevant in our age of unprecedented anxiety. The Stoic philosophers didn't just theorize about worry, they provided practical frameworks for dismantling it. What they discovered through centuries of practice has been validated by modern psychology. Most of our suffering is self-inflicted, and most of our worries never materialize. Truth 5. Problems diminish when ignored. The Stoics observed something counterintuitive. Many problems resolve themselves when we stop feeding them with constant attention. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This doesn't mean ignoring genuine issues. It means recognizing that obsessive rumination often magnifies problems beyond their actual scale. The Stoic practice was to acknowledge a problem, determine what action is appropriate, take that action, and then release it. They understood that the mind dwelling on a difficulty often prevents the clarity needed to solve it. Carl Jung, though separated by nearly 2,000 years, echoed Stoic wisdom when he noted, "What you resist persists." The Stoics knew this instinctively. By stepping back from constant problem-focused thinking, We create space for solutions to emerge naturally. Truth 6. The universe is not your enemy. Perhaps the most profound Stoic teaching is the concept of logos, the rational order underlying all existence. Marcus Aurelius and his fellow Stoics believed that everything happening is part of a greater whole, even when we cannot see the pattern. This wasn't blind faith. It was a practical framework for maintaining equanimity. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every obstacle contains the seeds of opportunity. Not because the universe is magically conspiring for your benefit, but because how you respond to difficulty determines what you become. The Stoics saw challenges not as punishments but as training. Each setback strengthens you for what comes next. This perspective transforms victimhood into agency. You're not being persecuted by fate. You're being shaped by experience. Truth 7. You are stronger than you know. The Stoics emphasized what modern psychology calls stress inoculation. Epictetus would tell his students, "Difficulties are things that show what men are. You've already survived every challenge you faced." This isn't optimistic thinking. It's empirical fact. The proof of your strength isn't found in your thoughts about your strength. It's found in your history of survival. Marcus Aurelius, bearing the weight of empire during plague and war, reminded himself daily, "You've endured this before. You can endure this now." The Stoics didn't deny difficulty. They refused to let difficulty define them. Your capacity exceeds your estimation of it. Every time you thought, "I can't handle this," you were wrong. You did handle it. You're still here. Truth 8. The present moment is sufficient. The Stoics anchored themselves relentlessly in the present. Not because they didn't plan or prepare, but because they recognized that worry pulls us out of the only time we can actually act. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. This is the antidote to anxiety." Right now, reading these words, are you safe? Are you breathing? Then in this moment, you are okay. Worry lives in imagined futures. Peace lives in the acknowledged present. The Stoics practiced returning to the moment constantly, recognizing that most of our suffering exists only in our projections, not in our current reality. Truth 9. Focus determines experience. The Stoics understood that attention is power. What you focus on expands in your consciousness. Seneca observed, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." If you train your attention on problems, you'll see only problems. If you train it on solutions and possibilities, your entire experience shifts. This isn't about positive thinking or denial. It's about strategic allocation of mental resources. The Stoics practiced gratitude not as a feel-good exercise, but as a deliberate countermeasure to worry. By consciously noting what works, what's present, what's good, you train your mind away from its default negativity bias. Conclusion. The Stoics left us something more valuable than abstract philosophy. They left us a tested framework for navigating human existence with dignity and peace. Their insights weren't about eliminating all worry. They were about distinguishing between productive concern and destructive obsession. 2,000 years later, their wisdom remains radical. You cannot control everything. And that's not just okay, it's liberating. Your thoughts are not facts. Your strength exceeds your fear. And peace is found not by controlling the future, but by fully inhabiting the present. The ancient Stoics understood what we're still learning. Freedom from worry isn't found by changing your circumstances. It's found by changing your relationship to them.